We like to think that consent is the key thing, that is the thing that the community does so well. And I argue it's not. It's that next step of communication.
All right, if you could teach the world one key insight about sexual health, something that really moves the needle, what would it be?
I recently gave a talk on sexual well-being to an online course as part of Seed Talks, an organization here in the UK. And as I was preparing for that, I was trying to think of, similar to your question, like what is that one message that is so important in all these different settings? Looking at all these different studies, what were key variables that impacted on outcomes? All of it came down to communication. In my researching kink subcultures, we like to think that consent is the key thing, that is the thing that the community does so well. And I argue it's not. It's that next step of communication that often within those settings the word consent won't be discussed. But when I interview people and say, how do you navigate the kink that you're going to do with different people? Oh, well, we chat beforehand, we might chat after, we chat during. I look out for body language, or we might develop safe words. None of this is, I suppose, explicitly consent, but it does fall under the communication category.
Yeah.
And when we recognize the importance of communication in a variety of settings, it has a huge impact. So with potential sexual partners, with previous sexual partners, one of the things I witnessed sort of anecdotally in MSM communities, there's kind of a mantra of like, if you hook up with somebody and it's not very good, you block them. It's like, done. Oh, that's, something we want to forget.
Yeah.
That's actually really bad from a sexual health perspective. And I think when COVID happened, I was hearing people talk about sending a message afterwards of like, hey, that was good, hope you had fun. Please, for like the next couple of weeks, like don't block me if you intend to, because if you've got symptoms of COVID, this is the only way we can talk about symptoms and keep track of it. And that sort of progressed into maybe we wait 3 to 4 months, or we just have that, hey, I didn't enjoy that, it's going to be a bit weird, but we need to have a communication channel. And then thinking in sexual health services, people who engage in BDSM often feel a sense of stigma and perceived judgment within sexual health settings, and that can lead to a lack of disclosure of certain things. That's hugely detrimental. There were some examples of people who turned up with bruises that were a consequence of consensual impact play. They were reported by the sexual health worker because of a lack of communication around them, a lack of understanding. And it's not always in that. I think that's a bit more of an extreme example, but there's other things around the type of tests that are offered, the type of advice that can be given. If there isn't communication between a patient and a sexual health worker, it can lead to advice that might not be applicable, or even worse, bad advice.
Yeah.
Range of different ways that I think communication is just integral.